Greetings to all of you, and thanks for listening to the podcast. I was interviewing Steve Wainstead a few weeks ago, and we were discussing his photos. And the shot that he took of Jello Biafra wearing a Dennis Kucinich's Still God shirt came up, and I believe that was from a show at the Variety Theater in around '85. And I knew of the photo from the portfolio of his work, and I also knew that courtesy of my opportunistic brother and an unwittingly significant trip to Gold Circle or Tops by Chris Justice or his mom, I was in possession of the original Dennis Kucinich's God t-shirt, and it was now part of the Clee-Punk band of items pilfered from unsuspecting victims, and we have plenty of those, like songs and stories and photos, shit that we've stolen over the last 20 years from people. But Steve kept talking about the Variety photo, and then all of a sudden he started talking about the original shirt. And I kind of knew he was going to go that way. He didn't know I had the shirt. And I was going to steer him in that direction, and it worked, because after he got done talking about the 83 show at the Engineers Hall, he was all about who was taking the photographs there and this and that and the other. And I just kind of lifted up the shirt and showed it to him, and it just blew him the fuck away. Like, he was just like, dude, no way. And like, that was crazy. So during that podcast, I actually told him the story that Scott told me about how the shirt came to be his, then mine, from Chris, right? And then I realized when I was doing post-production, like, this, I botched the fucking story to begin with. And then I was like, this ain't my story to tell. Like, this is your guy's story to tell. This is the Offbeat story to tell. So today I'm with Tom Miller and Bud Wright, my brother Scott, and Chris Justice, and they were all in the Offbeats. And this is their story. And hello, boys. I hope you're doing well. What's going on?
How's it going?
Doing great, man.
Awesome. Now, look, just a little background, because I didn't know, I was gone by then. So, Bud, first to you. Tommy and I were bandmates long before the Offbeats, and I know Scott's course down the dank alleys of punk rock. But how did you get into punk? And was the Offbeats your first band, or how'd you get into that whole genre?
My sister.
She was in the band first, or
no? Somehow she ended up over at Eldo. Met Scott. Scott came over. I remember his van. I remember the music, and they started going out. I think that was like summer of '82. And then those guys found out I played drums. We tried playing one time down in my basement at my house, and it was awful. I couldn't play at all. I didn't get it, right? So time went on, fall. I think Scott and my sister got married in November.
Yeah.
I think we all went on stage at the reception afterwards, and something might have clicked, and I played with the Offbeats, and then I think, if I'm correct, maybe I'm wrong, they wanted to see how I would do. So my first band was actually the Idiot Savants with Joe Clement,
Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
So you sent him off to Double A, right?
And I was in both of them for a while, and then the Idiot Savants were the Idiot Savants. Offbeats, I liked their stuff from the moment I heard them. So
they were fun dudes.
I was grateful.
Now, Chris, when did you join the band? What was your deal?
Well, my deal was I just kind of knew Kevin from high school. We were buddies in high school, and he got kicked out of the house and all that, and went to lived at Eldo. We used to hang out there with all the all the dudes and whatnot. So basically, we'd go out drinking and stuff, and then come back and play music in the basement really loud while we were drunk. And so I kind of got into the music and punk back through that, and that's how I met Tom, because I think Tom, you lived there at the time, or sometime during that time, yeah. So we just kind of fiddled with guitars and stuff when we were there, and I like the music, I like the attitude and the energy, and that's kind of how I got into it. So we kind of
did you guys practice it? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, well, we started the Pink Holes at Eldo, and I don't think the Offbeats ever practiced at Eldo, Tom. We practiced at
earlier
Scott's
version
house
of the band with Bob Ritchie and Larry Lewis.
With Larry.
We practiced at Eldo,
right.
And then once we reformed with Bud and you, where did we practice? Actually, Scott's house.
At Scott's house.
Back
off Ohio Street.
Ohio Street. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Fucking Mr. Curtis must have loved that. I mean, your mother was deaf, so she couldn't hear.
didn't
She
know,
was
yeah,
deaf as a
no, she
stone.
was-
She
yeah,
didn't fucking know
yeah.
what was going on. She loved
Yeah,
you guys, by the way. God bless
So
you.
I'm still not sure why Tom asked me to join the band. I was a terrible guitar player, still am, but it's whatever.
No way. How bad was
You
that?
fit right in. And
I don't know.
didn't sound terrible.
No, I bet.
Oh, it was a blast. It was a blast, no doubt.
So, Scott, were you the first bass? I don't even remember. I was running around in South Texas.
Of the Offbeats, I think so, but it was kind of it had grown out of something else. You guys were playing with Loveson and Larry Lewis, right? And Bob Ritchie, was that right?
And then Loveson quit, and we were a three-piece for a while where me and Larry switched off on guitar and bass. But that was when I was trying to talk
When
you
Loveson
into
quit-
the playing, because I knew you could play banjo. I'm like, if you can play banjo, then you can certainly play bass
Sure.
for us.
5 strings, 4 strings.
Well, I just remember early on you were like, okay, when I make this chord, hit this note or that note. When I make this chord, hit that or that note. And I just watched your left hand all the time. That's how I got instructed, what notes to hit. And eventually I learned a few things here and there. But speaking of Loveson, do you remember when he moved? I don't mean to drag this on, but when he was leaving the band, he was getting married.
Right.
And he had a party. You remember that?
You guys played at his party.
Somebody, not me. He played. The Offbeats played, and I guess Richie and you,
Right.
and I don't know if Larry was there. I don't know.
It wasn't me. I know Tom. I
Wasn't
wasn't
me either.
Kevin and
I was
were there.
I was there, but I didn't
we were
play.
all there.
And then they had
Yep.
remember the old like Western Onion where the girl would come and sing and do a dance and like right like dressed in fishnets and a top hat. Do you remember this at all? Like
I don't remember that, but
somebody hired a Western Onion singer to come do a
Smoke more
singing
weed.
telegram. They did a singing telegram at his reception, and this girl's up there doing her thing, and she had one of those wind-up monkeys, kind of monkey thing, and I swear to God, and she set it on the stage, turned it on, and it was like going. And she's doing her song and dance number, and I'm standing there watching this like I'm fucked up, been drinking the punch and whatever I've been doing, and I grabbed that monkey and I ran. And this place was down like Bellevue, like Bellflower Road.
Yeah.
It was like down that way, the party center. And I left and hauled ass into some ass cornfield or like hay or some shit. I went off into this field, and Loveson was hot on my trail because he was like, he knew he had to pay for this monkey. So I laid in this ditch, and we walked, fuck, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Anyway, sorry. You're gonna edit this out probably.
No, I'm not going to edit that out. It's great. Because now we've established
but
you as a common thief.
I
You've
took that
stolen
monkey-
shirts and motherfucking monkeys. It's like,
I had that monkey for years, but it got lost in a hospital.
I was thinking that's kind of a typical
you have the
Scott-
monkey.
That's a typical Scott thing, anyhow. What he did.
It was.
Yeah, exactly.
I would
Not
do
unusual.
things, stupid shit
I
like
don't
that.
remember
Yeah.
the monkey thing at all.
But you were at that reception.
I don't even remember the reception.
Tom was still singing the song.
I did have a
It's like
song
going on.
for a little while called "I Wish I Had a Monkey," and we tried it out too a couple times.
You know what? I was thinking the other
We
day.
tried it out a few times.
I was thinking the other day, a man with 1,000 heads.
That was a great song.
I
think
know.
I'd ever
Doc
made it.
Savage.
I still love that.
I don't know who Doc Savage is, but Doc Savage, I remember Tom telling me he wrote about a
It's
Doc
this little
Savage book. I was like, who the fuck
adventure
is he? Doesn't he
novels.
play trumpet for Johnny Carson or something?
No, that Doc Severinsen.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just.
I'm trying to think of all the old Offbeats songs, Tom. When I was in the band, I could.
That's when we were getting into a really
I don't know.
fast hardcore period, though.
Ned.
Yeah.
Ned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting Fat was one.
Who wrote
Why Do You
Knuckle? Who wrote
Why Do You Hang
Knucklehead?
Out?
Why You Hang Out was a great fucking song.
Yeah.
Who
Tom-
wrote
that's-
Knucklehead? Was that
that
Doug
came
or you,
along later.
Tom?
That was an Ankler song.
Yeah, I was thinking you could tell there was a demarcation in the styles, of what happened in the
We went through
Offbeats.
phases, like, we started out more new wavy, rock and roll punk, whatever it was. And then, but we had a couple fast songs. We were doing that one song that you wrote in Generics M16. And we played it down in Kent.
Oh, you guys
and
played that?
All the hardcore punks down there went nuts. And I was like, I should write
Really?
more songs like that because these guys, it's a lot more fun when people jump around than when they just sit around looking bored. So And plus, they're easy to write, like 30
Well, I'm
second,
flattered.
minute-long songs. You can write a ton of them really quick.
That was like actually inspired by the Dead Kennedys. I was like, fuck, they put these weird chord progressions together, and I'm going to throw this like third in there and where it doesn't belong and whatever. But so like 1983, you guys are getting ready to do this variety show. You guys have been around for a few years. Was that your first booking with a national act, or were there national act shows before that DK show in '83 at the
Not
Engineers
really
Hall?
Too much. I remember a couple shows with like, smaller out of town bands. Nothing like the Dead Kennedys, who were probably like one of the biggest punk bands there were, back then, right then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Absolutely. No, they
That
were
was
they were
crazy.
hauling them in. How'd you end up booking the show?
I think that was Larry Collins booked that, but the way I
Yeah, that's what I
understood
think
it, too, was
Wainstead
that,
said. But
the Dead Kennedys would request certain bands from certain scenes because they were connected with this Maximum Rock and Roll hardcore magazine that covered all the different scenes in the U.S. and they would pay attention to, well, who's good in this town? Let's ask for these guys. And supposedly they asked for us, The Dark, and a couple other bands that opened up. I know
Who
it was
else
The
played?
Dark. I thought maybe Spike and Vane might have been one of them too. Or
Crucifix.
I can't remember. Actually, a lot of that show's a big blur to me.
That first show, the
I don't
Crucifix,
remember
Good.
a lot
they
of
were the last
details,
band to
but,
play.
I'm pretty sure it was Larry Collins.
I'll bag question 7. So
I'm sure Collins gave us that show.
no, so they had a fucking shitload of people playing. I saw them in Austin right around that time, and at the Ritz at a theater. Maybe it was '84, but I think it was just like the Big Boys or somebody played. They didn't have a whole troupe of people playing with them, but Texas wasn't known for having 7 zillion punk bands. They'd have a couple. But where's the Engineers Hall? Where the hell is
Yeah,
that?
go ahead. Chris.
It was on.
Oh.
Go ahead, Tom. I thought it was on First and St. Clair. It was right in the
was,
middle, right in the middle
I
of
thought
town,
it was
wasn't it?
Lakeside, where the Marriott, or it's between the two streets, where now there's a Marriott hotel. They tore it down, and
Yeah.
Is that where that drunk guy hit your car after that Indians game? When we parked in my old man's parking space over off Lakeside.
this was like closer to Ontario. It was near Ontario and maybe Lakeside.
Oh,
or
okay.
St. Clair.
Well, we chased that fucker to Ontario.
Speaking of Lakeside, remember the Lakeside Lounge? There used to be
The lakefront.
bands there all the time.
Yeah.
Remember seeing the Big
Yeah,
Boys
the
at
Big
Lakeside
Boys
Lounge?
was probably a
Yeah.
band
Big
we opened
Boys.
up for before the Dead Kennedys, but they were more on a smaller scale.
Oh,
And also Really Red from
Yeah,
Texas. I remember
they were.
playing with them.
they were
Couple
Houston.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were okay. Big Boys were cool. I Really Red was all right. There wasn't much coming from Houston at that time. I forget the Midalls or somebody else was from down there. And San
Trying to think of
Antonio
other
didn't
bands
have
we opened for, but I didn't pay much attention, man. After all these years, but there were.
So
other
what was
bands.
this place? Like a VFW hall or a Legion hall or something? The Engineers place? I mean, how big was it?
1,000, 1,200 seat. It was a nice old theater, is what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sit
Didn't
down?
it have- Didn't it have a
the
balcony,
and
too?
sit
I don't know.
down.
Was
Seating,
it
too?
seats? Oh, there were seats in
Yeah,
it.
there were seats.
There were floor seats and then there were balcony seats.
Some of the bands. But it was a nice. It was a
And
nice
then maybe
place.
50
It
feet before
was
the
packed,
stage.
too, which was
Yeah. Right, bud. Yeah.
something new for us, having 1,200 or 1,000 kids all there packed in.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I do remember.
And it was
that,
an all ages
How
show too.
all
I
these
remember.
Kids could show up.
I do remember that
'cause they were so young.
Yeah.
realizing the sound trick of opening band starting at one volume level, and by the time you get to the last opening band, they're a much higher pitch or much higher volume level, and then all of a sudden, when the Dead Kennedys come on, it was like you were shaking the rafters, and we were like, why the fuck couldn't we play this loud? Because it would have been much better, but they don't do it that way.
Well, you guys went on first, or is that
We were,
what
like,
you guys
we were
went?
like in the middle of the pack,
Yeah.
seems like to
I think
me.
there
I
was
don't know.
3 opening bands, maybe.
I think the Crucifix
Okay.
came on after us, and then
Yeah.
and then it was the Dead
Positive
Kennedys.
Violence might have been one of the
Yeah, I think that
bands.
sounds about
It was,
right, Scott.
Joe Clement and Carl Miller were in that.
Right,
that
right.
band. That was like ex-idiot savants.
I don't know. Were they cool? Were the DKs cool? I mean, were they all right to deal with, or were they aloof and on their own, or what was that?
I remember me and Joe Little asking D.H. Pellegro, the drummer, who just passed away like 2
Yeah.
months ago, 3 months
A month
ago.
ago, not
Yeah.
even.
He we asked him, hey man, anyone go outside and smoke weed? And he's like, no, dude, I don't smoke fucking weed. They're like, we don't do that. I don't do that, no. So, but no, other than that, we didn't have much interaction with him. But I couldn't remember I always tell the tale about the shirt being that I remember Jello Biafra looking around the back, talking to people in the back, looking for a plain white shirt that he could write on. And no one had one. Everyone had band logos or whatever. And I thought I asked you for the shirt, but maybe I make that shit up just so I get involved in the story. I can't remember, Chris, if he
Who's
came to
you?
you. Chris. I don't know
No,
if you asked.
I remember you asking me because
I thought
I
so.
remember Jello, and the Dead Kennedys. They were kind of walking around. They were kind of meandering backstage.
Yeah, they were
whatever.
cool. They seemed decent. They
Yeah,
weren't
they were
aloof.
cool.
They weren't
But I remember
aloof.
you coming up to me, kind of in a little bit of a panic, and you're like, "Hey, can I borrow your T-shirt?" I'm like, "Whatever,
Borrow.
Yeah, you said you kind of. I think you said borrow, so I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I didn't know what you were gonna do with it, but I never saw it again. But I saw it on stage, Jello wearing it. But I'm thinking, okay, that explains it.
There it goes.
Jello outside.
I thought they were-
before the show. He was walking around and he asked me directions to the nearest convenience store. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that was my only real interaction.
remember
with
buy a
him.
Sharpie-
Where's there
buy a
convenience
Sharpie.
store?
Yeah, he was trying to buy a Sharpie.
Before the
What were you gonna
show.
say, Bud?
Yeah, I remember Jello. I thought they were all nice, but do you remember him opening up a door backstage and then hanging from it, like to stretch out beforehand? And we saw, we
maybe.
looked, I don't know if it was me and you, Scott, we looked over and like, what the hell is this guy doing? But he was like
Yeah.
hanging from an open door, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my remembers of him, he was just really wound tight. He was just really intense most of the time.
Yep.
It's a little hard
but
to
yeah.
remember.
And then I remember the
calls
drummer
Sorry,
broke
bud.
his bass drum pedal.
Oh,
And I
really?
remember running and grabbing my bass drum pedal. And
That's
it was
right.
an
I remember that.
It was
Yeah.
an awkward situation because the guy is playing. He's not missing a beat. His foot's doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember going and crawling under, and I'm going, man, I'm getting awful close to this guy, right? In the middle of the show, and I switched out his bass drum pedal.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
take
I
it
forgot all about that.
afterwards
I
and-
remember you doing that. Yeah.
Fucking hell. That's a
Yeah.
great
It
part of
was
the
an
story.
awkward situation. That's,
No, man.
Engineers.
Hey, really?
Totally. I always liked East Bay. I always wanted to have a gin or a coffee with Ray Pepperell. I thought he was like the coolest dude in the whole band. I just like his style. I like the fact that he just kind of did his own thing. He kind of was like Ginn from Black Flag. He was like visually did not belong in the band, but he was such a part of it, And then he sued the shit out of Jello to get the rights to all the frickin' stuff for video games and all that shit. So it was like he endears you for that. I don't know.
It's kinda
Absolutely.
unique for that
I mean, it's
kind of
classic.
music,
Very-
Frickin' sound.
Very Bay
Yeah.
Area. Yeah, Bay Area.
Yeah.
Right. And his
Another-
parents were like huge jazz collectors and like used to take him
Yeah.
to see jazz shows and shit. Like the dude had pedigree and a half. I don't know,
Yeah.
but so that's it, man. So Jello took the damn shirt. He signed the fucking thing. I don't know, Chris. Like I don't know where the fuck did you get the shirt? Did you really go to Tops or Gold Circle, or am I just making that
No,
up?
I don't know. It was just back
No,
then.
it's a. What the fuck is
just-
this shit too?
You just had old
Well, I
sweatshirts
remember-
that you just bummed around in. That's all it was.
No, I know, but like, it's like, do you have a fucking bobcat for a pet or something? Because like, there's this fucking huge ass, like print on the bottom of it. What the
I'm
fuck
sure
is
I
that?
didn't. I'm sure that
This
was
thing
a
is
Jello
pristine
thing.
as shit.
God knows where that thing.
It's totally fucking pristine as shit. Like and like I said, you should have seen Wainstead's face when I pulled it up. He was just like, "No way, dude! No, that's the fucking shirt," And yeah, like I said, it's cool. We actually joked that we could clone Jello because we probably got DNA, from Jello on the
I
shirt.
remember after they came back from their finishing their final set, we were all still backstage, or at least I was, because Pat was pregnant, and we weren't going out in the crowd with all that. So we stayed back there through the whole show. And when they came back, he took that shirt off and balled it up and threw it over in the thing. And I'm like, I walked up to him. I said, where's my shirt? It belongs to my buddy Chris. It's he needs that shirt. And he's like, you really want the shirt? I'm like, yeah. He goes, here you go. And it was like dripping with sweat. And he just hands it to me. And I'm like, all right. Took that out, threw it in my van, forgot about it, found it like 2 weeks later and went, oh, laundered this thing. And then I held on it for 20 years. And now you've had it for another 18 or 20. I don't know. But
Well, the funny thing is Scott Stemple, he put on Facebook that when he saw the thing about Wainstead, he said the Rock Hall would want it, and I was like, you know, in a cool punk way, I'm like, fuck the Rock Hall. Like, I'm not giving them shit, you know, but it's not my shirt. I mean, what do you guys think of that? You know, does that thing belong, you know, that stupid, well, I shouldn't say stupid, but that Cleveland, you know, they got that. I've only been to the thing once.
Section.
Yeah, it's like, it's 3 window panes with like Jeff Magnum's guitar and
got a Pink
Pagan's
Hole flyer
poster.
hanging
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, it's like Stemple's like they'd put that in there, and I'm like, yeah,
Well, maybe that's gone now
kiss
that
my
Meredith
ass.
isn't there. I don't know. You know, maybe that's Pink Hole's thing. But
Nah, I think Magnum sent me a picture the other day with him standing in front of it with his bass in there. His old, it looked like a Guild bass, beat to shit, you know. But so I think it looked like a recent picture. But yeah. Yeah, wearing the Cleapunk shirt we bought for $1.
I'd vote on it.
Lanza said he got a good deal. He said he could have got it for $1.50. So the fucking Cleapunk shirts. I think we made 10 of them, and they sold out in like a day. But we only sold them for like $5. I know.
Jeff worked at that.
Never made them again. That was a Bob Ritchie.
That's where I met you, Mark. Record Theater.
Oh,
Before that, Jeff
record
Magnum
theater.
was working there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was hired there because I walked in there I was wearing a Pistols t-shirt. I was cooking at Sambo's. Remember that place down on 315, 306?
Yeah.
And me and Brandon Zart, who ended up in the Def Nicks and that bunch, Brandon and I were cooks there. And I had my Sex Pistols t-shirt on, and I walked into Record Theater, and Judy Morgan was a manager, and she said, "Hey, you're a punk?" And I'm like, I don't know. I guess. I mean, there's like 2 of us at Men Are High, and there's a shitload of us there. And she said, "You want a job?" Jeff Magnum just left, like, you know, within the last year to go tour with the Dead Boys, and we need a punk. And I was like, yeah, it's better than cooking at Sambo's. So that's how I got involved with that. And so I met Tom. Tom would come in and look at the imports, and he'd be leaving. You always looked at the guys that went to the import section. He'd come out with an Alex Harvey record or some shit, because we didn't have a really good import section
I walked in
there.
there one day wearing a Ramones shirt, and you were like, "Hey, cool shirt," you know. So
Yeah.
that's all it takes.
Oh, and then we used to raise hell in there. Absolutely. And we used to freaking, you know, like Uncle Bill's would shut down because we'd have the speakers so loud the guy would come over, and then we'd shoot him with freaking dart guns and shit and hide behind the Ramones cutouts and chase him out of the store and shit. But yeah, that's how I met Tom. And then we started playing in bands.
I remember during that time you guys were doing that. I was still getting John Hartford records and Olden in the Way. And
That's
and
okay.
Like,
it's all part of growth.
Here's some hippie shit. Check this out. You know, you're like, I didn't even know who Jerry Garcia was at that point. I swear to God, I had no idea.
Lucky you. I was.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
No.
Doug and I were going to friggin' Gil Scott Heron shows and Grover Washington shows. Because we had free tickets at the Record Theater. We had free Blossom tickets and we had free Agora tickets, and you know, we had all that shit. And then we had all kinds of capers. Then we ended up at Record Theater. But Tom was always a big part of that. He was a customer. You know, one of the ones that would come in now. So up or down, no on the Rock Hall. Say fuck them. If they fucking want it, just go piss off. I mean, what do you guys think?
Maybe
Yeah,
if
no,
they,
maybe.
elect the dead
I go with what
Kennedys
Chris
for the Rock
says.
Hall, they can have the shirt.
But that ain't gonna
There
happen.
you go.
That ain't gonna happen.
Well, why not? They put in frickin', you know, Cheap Trick had 4
Maybe it'll
singles,
happen
and they
if the
put him
shirt
in.
is there. If the shirt is there in first, if the shirt gets there first, maybe they'll think about it. No, I'd go.
Well,
I'd
I'm
go
thinking-
with whatever Chris says. It's his fucking shirt.
That's what I was
Right.
going to say. That's how I wanted to.
Come on.
That's how I wanted to close this with, like, Chris. I mean, I would hope you know, like, I would never sell the shirt, and it can always be in the collection of pilfered items. But this is ethically your shirt. Like, we can return this shirt to you. I'm not going to the mail. I'm not going to the post office in the next month because Christmas and all that shit. But this is your shirt. Now it's safe here. I've sold my Cleveland collection so I could build a golf simulator. So, like, I sold all my freaking records and shit. Like, I'm a real true punk. Like, gonna give me $2,500 for 6 and change? Fuck it, it's gone, man. I was like, get rid of that shit. Cleveland Confidential? Hell yeah, I got 2 copies of that shit. $150, take that mother. Cheese just bought that in a cutout bin the other day for $1 in Menor, by the way. Cleveland Confidential.
Really?
No shit. I was like, is it a reissue? And he's like, nope, the original one. I was like, son of a bitch. Turned around, sold it for $150. I was like, way to go. But no, I would never sell it because it's like, that's part of the lore, you know? I mean, that's like that, but it's your call, you know? but I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I would say keep it in your collection.
There you go.
For one thing, I don't think the Rock Hall is going to want it. Maybe they.
I
would,
think
Speaking of rock
fuck
hall
them
rock and
anyway.
stuff,
Yeah, I agree.
most of the Offbeats master
No,
recordings
they don't want shit.
and a bunch of other similar stuff is actually belongs to the Rock Hall now because I donated it like 12 years.
Really?
I saw that years ago. Yeah.
So there's if you go
Yeah, they asked for a bunch of transcripts from Clee-Punk back when we had the bathroom wall, and there was like that message board that we had 20-some years ago, and they wanted all the transcripts of that, and I summarily told them to go piss off. I was like, nah, I just was
wanted to
like,
get the stuff out of my house.
and then I just,
And I was like, who's
yeah, well,
doing
that's
that
the
stuff?
thing.
Well, I use it as a source of icebreaker conversations. Like I have recordings that I was playing bass on that are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame archives, which are like 4 blocks away in some storage building, but still,
At the Variety Theater
it's not too much of a lie.
or the
But
Engineers
no,
Hall.
I mean, it's not like it's not like any fucking real bragging rights. It's like
Hell no.
we were nobody, we were like nobody to notice anything, but it was fun. I had a great time doing it. I wish that,
Yeah,
I wished
it's great.
I wished I'd have stayed in it longer. Actually, I mean, I know I'm.
Do you guys remember, Tom? Do you remember when we recorded it? Was it Angel recording?
Sounds
The
right.
Island, I think.
Mike
Yeah,
Way.
it was when Bud and I were in the band.
Angel, but I thought that was the generics, but I remember going to Island. And it was like somewhere in
Maybe it was
North
Island.
Royalton
Well,
or
'cause I
something,
thought-
way out place.
Yeah, maybe it was Island
The
then.
guy
yeah.
was into
Yeah.
like folk music.
He had
and
all
a
that
lot of, like,
gothic
swords
stuff up.
and things on the wall.
That's it.
Yeah.
Swords.
'Cause that's
Sitting
when we
on a
recorded
park
the
bench.
that's when we recorded the EP when I was in the band.
And then all the other
Yeah,
punk
yeah.
bands went to the Island
Right.
after us because they told them how cheap it was, like $10 an
Yeah.
hour or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember when we put out that one 45 and the pictures that were took of just the 3 of us? I think it was just you and Bud and Tom, me and Tom, Bud, 3 of us. And they said they wouldn't print it because they thought that somebody's member was hanging out of
Yeah, I
their
remember
pants. I
that.
don't want to embarrass anybody. But there was just a shadow of like on your jeans. It was on Bud's jeans, and they're like, we're not going to print this. Obviously, his dick is hanging out. We're like, what? It's not. It's not. And then on the back of it, I drew those sunglasses on you. You didn't have sunglasses on, and you were like, I don't like this picture. I wish I had my glasses on. And I remember drawing them on for the final, and we had that printed. And if you look at them, they're kind of crooked, like.
Bunch of hacks.
I love it.
We'd heard of you. The Offbeats had, they had pedigree. People knew who they were.
Early days
you
was
guys-
like guerrilla record making, though.
Yeah.
Well, everything you guys did was the fanzines. I know you guys would send me. Tom would always send me the Oops magazine down in Texas. And Tom did a great job of keeping me posted on what y'all were up to. Except for one thing, I walked into a record store. When was Cleveland Confidential put out?
Yeah.
82, 83?
82.
Yeah, I walked into a record store in Austin, and dude goes, "Hey, you're from Cleveland, remember?" And I was like, "Well, remember?" I was like, "Yeah, I do remember." And he was like, "I just got this record in, fucking Cleveland record. I held it for you." And I was like, "Cool, let me see it." And I turned it over, and I'm like, "I'm confused." I was like, "Offbeats? I'm fucking confused." I was like, "What the fuck is this?" But it was great, so because it was the generics that recorded that. But so people knew you. People knew you guys, and there was like 3 copies of it down in Austin, and people bought it and they listened to it. And actually, I think Cheese and I and Frank are gonna do a review of Cleveland Confidential, like a 40-year later review of it in a couple of weeks, and some of them are going to be priceless to talk about. I don't think we get the rights to play any of it, but but you guys had pedigree, and then you guys came to Bud. You were with the band when you came to Connecticut and played up at UConn, near UConn. I still drive by that place. My daughter goes to school at University of Connecticut. You guys played at a place. I don't know if Bridget got you the gig there. Didn't she have connections with Doug or something? I don't know. No, the LNG was in New London. That was actually. Did you guys play there?
LNG,
No shit. No, you guys played at the Mansfield. You played at the
there,
Mansfield
too,
house
behind the LNG.
outside
I
of
remember
stores.
seeing, like,
Yeah.
2 nights in a row.
Right. And then you guys played Boston and a bunch of. I heard you. I was deer hunting up in fucking New Hampshire like one time, and listening to crazy college radio on like some half a band frickin' frequency that was coming from Brattleboro or Burlington, Vermont, or some shit. And you guys came on the frickin' radio. So, like on college radio, at like 2 a.m, we were like up cleaning our guns, getting ready to go shoot. And here come the Offbeats. I was like, fuck, this is full circle, man. You go from Elmer Fudd pants to frickin' Why Do You Hang Out, like in no time. But you guys were awesome. You guys got to come back on. You know, it's past my bedtime. I could have fucking bed, but you know. But you guys got any other memories from that show that you guys want to talk about? Bud, what do you remember? Anything?
It still sticks with me. But that Klaus Floride, the bass player, Scott pointed this out to me. He dropped his bass, right, in the middle of playing, picked it up, figured out how out of tune he was, and compensated for it. Or, right, he didn't waste time, like, tuning it back.
He didn't touch the tuners.
That sticks with me today. That's pretty good. You knew those guys were good.
They were
musicians.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Yeah.
No, they were black belts. I mean, they really were. A lot of the punks were. It was like the ones that really made it were really, really good musicians. You know, like I mean, like Greg again. I talked about him earlier. He's a great guitar player. You know, and they always had good bass and rhythm sections. You know, and yeah, that's pretty awesome. How about you, Chris? Any last memories of that whole thing? Except for I want my fucking shirt. Did you even know that Scott? Did you even know that anybody had this shirt? Seriously, like until a month ago? Did you?
until you contacted me, I'm like, and you sent me that picture over text. I'm like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? I had no idea.
That's awesome.
I figured somebody threw it in the alley way back when, and that's where it ended up. But who knows?
Scott's red van. Was that red van? Is that the one you had?
No, that's a blue, like light blue Chevy, 1980 Chevy van.
God, you and Little didn't fuck that thing up with pulling the transmission or some shit?
No. This is too new to fuck it up.
Oh, good.
We had screwed up plenty of other vans in the earlier days. Like
he grew up when it.
Like a van story, which you can get into another day, is Joe drank piss. That's a van story, you know. But,
yeah, I remember that.
We always want to hear about that.
I don't like that.
No, Joe doesn't want to hear about that.
I don't.
I don't like that song. You guys wrote a song about that? Joe drank piss?
And I don't
it was a song.
The Dumb Shits wrote it, right? Wasn't it a Dumb Shits song?
That was the Dumb Shits, yeah.
I never knew when you guys were making fun of people or being serious. And I think that's a cool thing. I mean, I actually do. I think that's cool. I mean, I get 40 years later, you might get a little sensitive about that. But, you know, as a host, I don't because I didn't piss them off. I was gone, you know. But I don't think you pissed anybody off. I just think you guys had a sense of humor, you know, and that was good stuff.
It was only the guy that threatened to break my arm. We played another song. We did piss that guy off. He was a club owner. That was at the
Where the hell was that?
It was much later on.
Well, that ought to tell you right away.
He got tired of our shtick, and he was like, if you play another song, I'm going to break your arm. So we...
Nice. You guys needed Sablak in the band. He would have taken care of that shit in freaking 2 seconds.
Speaking of weird places to play, you guys remember... I don't think the Offbeats ever played there, but do you remember the Aragon Lounge? Remember playing there? It was like this cheesy strip bar during the day or whatever.
You were in the band that
that's how I remember. Because Squelch used to play there, but we'd get there like early at 6 or whatever, 7, and the dancers would still be, and it was like these 50-year-old dancers. Yes. It was disgusting. And the people that came in there were all the steel mill guys, and they'd come in here and have their 2 beers after work and watch these old ladies dance, and they'd leave, and then we'd play like at 8 o'clock.
These dancers got a little mill scale on them.
Yeah.
Spanking it into their white socks and in the back of their lunch pail. Nice.
You mentioned the Squelch thing and the Aragon, because I have a picture of Squelch playing at the Aragon that's like sitting on my shelf right to my left.
Really?
If you want, I'll show it to you.
Cool.
Hang on a second.
Looks like a steamship. Looks like a bunch of steamboats.
I know.
But the Aragon Lounge, you know, we always had a guest list, and so we put all these other friends on the guest list, and we end up making like $7 for the night because everybody was on the guest list.
Fuck yeah.
But that's pretty typical.
$7. There you go.
Wait till Seals and Crofts get his shit back on.
But here's the picture.
Dead seals.
It's just like a sound
Dash,
check with Tom.
Dash.
I guess you can't really
Oh,
see
he's
it, but
back.
there's Doug. There's Tim Kelly.
Oh wow,
my
yeah,
God.
look at that.
And,
Yep, Tim
Yeah.
Kelly.
no, there's Tim Kelly. Anyway,
Yep.
Kevin.
not the best
Kevin?
place.
Who's the other one?
Hold
Nah,
it
it'd be
back a
Tim.
little.
Tim played bass for Squelch
Okay.
at first, yeah.
Finally.
It was a good name for a band that sounded like shit.
Were they that bad? How could they? Were they? They weren't that bad, were they?
No,
Squelch.
Squelch?
No, I thought we were good.
Cool.
It was
Yeah,
it was a
good.
different. Yeah, we kind of went in the blues kind of punk
Yeah.
direction
Nice.
or whatever. Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
No, that's cool. Everybody had a little
One
bit of
song
different
you wrote
sound.
For them,
I
Chris,
thought,
too, that they did
you
in
know.
Prison Shake too. I think they recorded it.
Oh, really?
Can't think of the name of it. but-
Chris is
song was
finding out all kinds of shit tonight.
Cha-ching! Here comes the royalties.
Did you ever get any royalties?
Not from them.
You get 72
No,
cents.
I didn't really write songs. I just came up with riffs. So we just go
That's
to
all Keith
Malchuck's
Richard ever
basement.
did.
Yeah, we'd go to Malchuck's basement. And they'd look at me and, hey, you got any new riffs? And I just play some shit. And Doug would say, hey, kind of like that. And we just kind of make a song out of it. You know,
God damn, I didn't know any of this
works,
shit.
yeah.
This is great.
that's how it worked. Yeah.
Tommy, did you and Doug write songs together, or did you just bring them like you and I wrote separately, and then we just
separate.
bring them to the band?
Mostly
Or did you ever
separate,
write
but
songs
occasionally
together?
I would have some ideas that I didn't have finished off, and I'd bring it in, and we'd collaborate on it.
Like Gib Shanley's Dick or something like that?
That was mostly Doug, I think.
Puke on Mary?
We had one called "Nothing Will Ever Be the
That would have
Same."
been Tom.
It was like probably the most collaborative song we wrote, where like we collaborated on the music,
Oh, okay.
and the lyrics and stuff. But yeah,
No, you had distinct styles. I mean, you were a great songwriter, and Doug was a really good songwriter. You know, I mean, he just matured as he got older, and some of the stuff they did with Prison Shake was awesome. But
Yeah, I remember Doug. We used to just come up with some riffs, and Doug would listen to them, and then the next practice, he'd have words, just like that.
he was pretty
It was
good with
pretty
words.
amazing,
I was
so.
terrible. At it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I always struggled.
not really. You wrote good lyrics.
And remembering how
yeah. You did.
Ah.
They were good.
a lot of live tapes I listen to, and I'm just going blah 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 blah, blah you know, because I forget the words.
Hey, it's in the Rock Hall now, baby. Fucking, there's a lot of that blah 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 down there in that four floor streets away. Hey, Bud, you ever play in another band after the Offbeats, or you just kind of hung,
That was it.
became an engineer,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that what you do? And Chris, you restore cars or some shit, or what? What do you do?
No, I'm an engineer actually. I mean, cars are kind of my one of my hobbies, but yeah, but I'm an engineer as well. So, yeah.
You an Ohio State guy?
No, actually, I didn't. I
you
didn't
go
go
to-
to college. I'm just School
Yeah,
of Hard Knocks engineer.
join the crowd.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Well, not an
I've been-
engineer.
I've been doing engineering and mechanical stuff since 11th grade. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Used to be my guitar tech for a
In
while.
what
field?
Mechanical. I do HVAC stuff.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey,
I've been in this
Bud,
field.
meet Chris.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah,
work
you still
together.
work with mini mills and stuff, Bud?
Yeah, I'm arc furnaces. Yeah, I'm at a steel mill right now.
Oh, really? Because I worked for a couple of companies that probably make stuff for you. I worked at Linturn Corporation and Nordic Air. We used to make air conditioners for steel mills and stuff like that,
Yeah,
for the cranes and
Are
all
you
that.
in
Yeah,
China right now, bud?
that was kind of our business.
as we speak. No, I'm actually in Ohio.
Seems like it.
He does look like he's someplace
I'm in a
like
hotel.
hiding.
He plays in a closet or something.
I'm in a hotel room. If you
Oh,
Are you really?
can- Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty luxurious back there. Yeah,
See, Sheila, nothing's going on here. Now we have visual evidence.
Nothing going on.
The girls are
Life on the
gone.
road.
No,
Life on
it's
the
like, it's like
road.
a fucking Colombian drug deal going to go on back there. It's kind of.
I know. Waiting for the guy
One light bulb swinging on a chain.
hung
just
up
for
with the chain exactly, and frickin' the chainsaw with Al Pacino and shit
Yeah,
coming
man,
at him. Look at him.
it's-
Or Marathon Man.
better
He's got
check
Roy
behind
Scheider
you.
coming up with a frickin' piano wire coming up and grab your ass. Well, this has gone south quick. So you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you coming
One other
on.
thing I would say about
40
Dead
minutes, that's
Kennedys
good.
yeah. It's
That concert,
Oh!
that particular show, is that I've run into a lot of people over
Yes,
the
sir.
years, and even more recently, that people usually around Cleveland area that'll go like, that was my first punk show. And these are all people maybe
Really?
10 years younger than me or something like that. They were all like 15. They went to this show. It didn't do us much good with audiences, though, because they were all too young to go to our next show that was at a bar. So this was all...
Oh, it was all ages.
1,200 people.
Yeah.
And then the next show was like the usual, like 50 to 100, because all those kids were back in the suburbs. By the time...
Dude, that's not a bad... 100's not a bad crowd for a punk band in 1984, really,
No.
if you think about it. You
Well,
guys were
I'll tell you
doing
what my
okay.
first punk show was. I saw the Cramps at the Pop Shop
That was a great concert.
way back when. That had to have been, yeah, 80, 81, 82, I don't know, somewhere around there. Probably 81.
Wow. And Bud, your
Yep.
first one was the first gig you did with Offbeats, right? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm like, you weren't going to punk shows when you were in high school. You went to Willoughby South or some shit?
Yeah.
I'm like Jane Scott asking you where you went to school.
No.
But yeah, so that was it. You went to the Offbeats. No. Yeah, no, we were, I don't know, going to see, I don't know, the Pagans and shit like that back with the St. Joe's guys and, the Menor guys back in probably 78. I don't know, I graduated in 79, so it was before that. But, Cleveland was, had a good thing going. And it still does. It had it for a while, and you guys were a big part of it. But like I said, I appreciate you guys coming on. And next time you find something you stole from Chris Scott, let me know, and we'll gather everybody. And Chris, if you change your mind, you want your shirt, just let me know. We're all nothing but ethical here. And if the Rock Hall calls, we'll just go, fuck you. We're not giving you shit. Or you have to keep it in the thing. We'll have Frank draw up a contract, Frank Mercerian. He'll draw up a contract with the Rock Hall. And if they take it out of the display, 5 of us, we did $500,000. We each split we
Cash
get
in.
we get $100,000 a piece for this Jello shirt. Yeah, that'll fucking happen. Well, boys, it's good talking to you, Bud. Enjoy your night in underground China, at the steel mill. The steel mill. We know that, Joe. And Chris, great to meet you after all these years.
Great seeing all you guys.
And next time I'm in town, I visit Cheese. Last time I was there, I saw Tom. We went to Brennan's I miss going to Perch dinners. So next time up in Cleveland, Chris, I'm going to look you up. We get together.
Yeah.
You still near Rock Creek or no?
No, I'm in near Chardon, actually.
Oh,
Chardon, Concord, yeah.
Yeah, right
Close
around
enough,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get together for a beer. And Scott gets out of Florida once every 20 years or so.
Oh, I'd love to get out of here. It's getting crazy down. It's getting crazy down here. Believe me.
Well, this podcast was brought to you by Claudia Cottage on Dale Mabry Boulevard in
That's in
no, what are
Tampa.
you?
That's totally a different city.
Brought to you by Claudia Cottage on
Curry Ford Road.
Curry Ford Road in Orlando, Florida. Come for the pie and stay for the beer.
That's right.
Hey, that's a good one. You fucking pay me for that.
I think it's
All
on
right,
the top of
boys.
the shirt.
What does it say there?
Not come for the pie, they stay for the shirt. I don't know, whatever you just said.
Oh, I thought it was like, man, I'm nicking something. I don't even know I'm stealing it.
No.
All right. I appreciate you guys
Thanks
being
for doing
on.
it.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. See y'all.